Ner and Troy, Rabbi Kimchi and your dear family, Rabbi Zobin and your family, fellow members of Ner Yisrael. The last time I was asked to speak publicly about our next speaker was some 15 or 20 years ago. I'd reached the end of a bout of gaboyas. I make a bout of gaboyas sound like it's some kind of tropical disease. It isn't. For myself and my family, it was absolutely transformative. So after 2 years of being the gabbai, I had to report back to the annual general meeting as to what had happened in the shul that year. And I wanted to start by talking about our next speaker. And I stood up and I addressed the annual general meeting, each person personally by name. Felix, Louise, Gigi. And I was moved to tell them that the one thing we have in our leader, in our Rav, is someone who is the cement that binds together this eclectic and rather strange group of people that we call Ner Yisrael. And I wanted to explain to them how is it that he sprinkles this magical dust over us, that when we're away from there, we're such strange and different types of people, but when we're together, we're truly together. And I told them a story of what happened to me in my first year at Ner. And in the first year at Ner, the rabbi's droshes were something like we'd never heard before. And I sat and listened to a drosha, and I probably davened Musaf, but I don't remember doing so. I was just so overwhelmed by the ideas that I started to walk home, and I made it from Albert Road to Dainscroft Avenue, and suddenly realized that there was something missing. There was no Eruv at the time, so I hadn't left keys anywhere, I hadn't left a tallis anywhere, but I had left my daughter. Now, I have a very tolerant and understanding wife, and when it comes to a lost set of car keys, she's okay. But a whole daughter was going to be problematic. I turned about, I sort of ran towards Green Lane, and at the other end of Green Lane, there they were, little and large. My daughter recounting what had happened in nursery that week to the rabbi. She was skipping along hand in hand with her hero, the rabbi. And let me tell you, that's what Rabbi Kimchi's been for us. The same man who inspired me for the next half an hour to stop thinking about anything, even my daughter, and forget her, was the man who himself was worried, are all the families all right? Who's this little girl? Does anyone know where I should take her? And he brought her home. So let me personally thank him for his astonishing kindness and leadership over 30 years, and ask him to come and say a few divrei Torah. Thank you.
I'm not often lost for words. I must say this evening, quite overwhelmed by all the feelings and memories and warmth and friendship that I feel here in this hall. All the accumulation of all the wonderful times we spent together. Shabbosas, Yomim Tovim, Yomim Neroim, Chasnas, Bar Mitzvahs, Bris Milas. I go round table by table. Every single one of you is very dear to me. We've built, Be'ezras Hashem, something remarkable. And one sometimes speaks about this ethereal quality of Siyata Dishmaya, where you can feel the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu working with you. And in my mind, it's very simple. When you put some effort into a project and you see that it works 100 times better than any effort you could possibly have put into it, then you realize you're in sync with the plans of the Rebbeinu Shalom. And there's no question that I felt this guiding hand and this inspiration from the Rebbeinu Shalom all the way from the very beginning. Yes, we did think of great ideas. Yes, we had a great management team. Yes, things worked together very well. Balei Kriya, Balei Tefillah, youth leaders, programs. But the whole was just so much more than the sum of its parts. That was the Siyata D'Shmaya. In some way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted this community to come into being, and we were the conduit to make this happen. This evening is just the most remarkable evening I can remember. So many people have put so much time and effort into making this evening possible. You know who you are. I thank you all extremely from the bottom of my heart for putting together such a magnificent program this evening. But more than that, just the experience of being able to stand up in front of the Kehillah on a regular basis and learn Divrei Torah together, sing together, every Kabbalas Shabbos, every Shabbos morning, every Tefillah, every Yontef, Kol Nidrei and Ne'ilas. These are the moments of Nitzchias, the moments of eternity, which add up in a person's life to create a meaningful and purposeful existence. This week is the 4th week of the Omer, and Chazal tell us it's the week of Netzach. Netzach, the Malbim tells us, has got 3 completely different meanings in Lashon HaKodesh, but all 3 of them are relevant tonight. The first meaning of Netzach is L'natzeach, to overcome, victory, to overcome opponents, overcome difficulties, overcome obstacles, the nitzachon of winning in a confrontation with negative forces. That's Netzach. That's L'natzeach. And there's no question that in the building of Ner from day one, there were forces and there were opinions against us, trying to undermine the building of Ner, trying to divert us. At every stage along the way, there were difficulties of one sort or another. Diane referred briefly to the Eruv. Many of you know about that. What a tremendous battle that was. And even the programs that we innovated at Ner. Many of you don't know the flack that I got for many of them from my rabbinic colleagues in northwest London. But we had a vision, and we had Siyata D'Shmaya. And I must tell you one other thing that we had. We had before speaking here, Rav Agon, Rav Chanach Ehrentreu. Diane Ehrentreu, you came to London in 1984. And I'm sure there were many reasons why you came in 1984, but I can tell you my reason why you came in 1984 was because we started then, and without you and your backing, we wouldn't have got off the ground. Diane Ehrentreu gave us the backing, the encouragement, the sage advice. Every young Rav needs a rabbi's rabbi to consult with, to point him in the right direction. And Diane Ehrentreu, you've been with us from day one, and I can't tell you what a tremendous pleasure and inspiration it is for me to be here together with you this evening. And please God, we'll do so together for many, many years to come in good health. Please God. So Netzach means L'natzeach, to overcome difficulties. But what's the second meaning? The second meaning, says the Malbim, is Lam Natzeach Mizmor LeDavid. That's a different meaning completely. A menatzeach is a conductor of an orchestra. And in Ivrit, in modern Hebrew as well, the menatzeach is the person who is conducting all the different instruments. And this is where we come to the genius of the people who have worked with me in Ner Yisrael. Building a community brings together different people with different qualities, different strengths and weaknesses, different opinions, different attitudes, different levels of Yiddishkeit. And the art is Lam Natzeach Mizmor LeDavid. to be a conductor of the orchestra, to get everybody to sing their voice and somehow make out of that a harmonious symphony. That is the Lamnatseach. And this brings me to our guest of honor this evening, our wonderful Jerry, about whom so much has been spoken this evening. Jerry has been for me an ideal shutaf, a partner in building this community from day one. And I want to thank you personally, Belev Shalom, Jerry, for all the times we spent together, the discussions we've had together, the warmth, the friendship, and your ability to be a menatseach, to be a conductor of the orchestra that is Ner Yisrael, to bring out the strengths of everybody, to use everybody for what they're good at, and for me as well, to consult together. Of course, we had differences of opinions on certain things over the years, but it was always with the greatest derech eretz and the greatest kavod we worked it out. And my thanks to you, Jerry, is infinite. And please God, we will do great projects together still in the future. Amen. Yesterday in Shul, we gave Jerry the title of a chover. And I mentioned that no job was too big or too small for him to deal with. If there was a wobbly chair in Shul, he would sort it out. If a door was wobbly on its hinges, he was concerned about it. If there weren't enough Sidurim v'chumoshim. And on the other hand, when we needed to buy the woodyard, remember, Jerry, the whole woodyard business, buying it and finding the money and renovating it and everything, massive jobs. Building extensions, organizing the community in big projects and small. And at the same time, what you don't know is that Jerry and I met for 30 years every year on Erev Yom Kippur and asked mechila from each other. Maybe we had been a bit hasty or insensitive in our dealings with each other. We asked mechila, gave each other a hug, and went into Yom Kippur. And that's how we've lived together for 30 years. And because of that, we've managed to bring together the strength and the wisdom of all the people. We weren't just two of us. We were an entire group of people with good feelings, with creativity, with energy, and the results are evident to us this evening. And Baruch Hashem, we've managed to create something which is a genuine Kiddush Hashem. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Da'is, and also in Hilchos Yesod HaTorah, that whenever you create something where, when people see it, they say, "Ooh, if that's Yiddishkeit, I want to be part of it." That is the greatest Kiddush Hashem possible. And I believe in that sense, Ner Yisrael has been a great Kiddush Hashem, and it continues to be so. It has the power of Netzach, both in overcoming obstacles and the Lamnatseach, the ability to orchestrate all the different voices of each individual. The third meaning of Netzach is, of course, Nitzchias, eternity, which has been mentioned already this evening. We don't live a life of Nitzchias, but we can have in our life moments of Nitzchias. Every neshama requires sustenance of having moments of Nitzchias in your life. Nitzchias of Divrei Torah, Nitzchias of a tefillah, of a ne'ilah, or a kol nidrei, or a simchas Torah, or just a Kabbalah Shabbos on Friday night. You can have moments of Nitzchias, moments where you touch the Ein Sof. Somewhere you are connected to a different world. And that one single second is transformative. And I think Ner has managed to generate many such moments and continues to do so week after week. I certainly feel it. I cannot tell you what a privilege it is to stand up on Friday nights, and certainly Shabbos HaGadol and Shabbos Shuvah, in front of a shul packed with people who I know enjoy Divrei Torah. Not every Rav has such a community. Having such a community gives me a tremendous inspiration and uplift. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed me with having the most remarkable Rabbonim in my life. And through them I came to a love of Talmud Torah, and to be able to share it with all of you is for me the greatest privilege in the world. So that's the Netzach of this week. It's not by chance, nothing is by chance. This dinner is in the week of Netzach, to overcome obstacles, l'natzeach, lam natzeach, to orchestrate the different forces, and the nitzchias, the eternity, of moments, peak moments of ruchnius in one's life. Of course, for us also, Netzach has another meaning, is that the community of Netzach has representatives here this evening, that we have merged together this year, and I'm quite sure we'll have a great future together. The Netzach boys, kol hakavod to you. Tremendous stuff. On a personal note, there's one person without whom I could not possibly have performed my role in this community at any level at all. The young lady who agreed to marry me 39 years ago, when really I had no real idea of where I was going to go in my life, had no real objectives yet. We were still learning Torah in Yerushalayim, studying philosophy in university, a great parnasa preparation, I'm sure you'll agree. And this young lady fulfilled the pasuk of Lech teich acharai b'midbar b'eretz lo zarua. She followed me and supported me and encouraged me and believed in me at every stage along the way. And at every single junction in my life, I've benefited from her wisdom, her love, her good humor, an exceptional woman by my side, without whom there was no way I'd be standing here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Rebbe and Fia. I'd also like to echo some of the thoughts of Jerry a few moments ago. In an organization the size and complexity of such a community, there has to be someone who knows what's happening all the time. Someone who keeps track of all the different shiurim, which rooms to allocate to them, who deals with all the emails and the bills, who knows which boxes of food go to which kiddush separately, which meals are taking place in the shul every Shabbos. Someone who has kept my diary for 25 years and kept the shul diary. Someone who's at her desk at 7:30 a.m. every morning with a smile on her face, who answers the phone beautifully and encouragingly to everybody. Somebody who is constantly dependable, good-humored and dedicated. Ladies and gentlemen, Louise Breyer. My thank yous wouldn't be complete without mentioning the formidable group of Talmidei Chachamim who transformed with me together our Beis HaKnesses into a Beis HaMedrash. This distinction is an awesome distinction. And the Gemara in the last parak of Megillah makes it quite clear that the Kedusha of a Beis HaMedrash is much greater than the Kedusha of a Beis HaKnesses. Having a place which is a Mokam Torah, which generates the ideas and inspiration of Torah, that is really the goal and has to be the goal of every community. And no Rov can do this alone. We've seen on the film, quite moving to see the unforgettable Isaac Bernstein, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, close friend of mine, who was completely unreplaceable. L'havdil ben Chaim l'chaim, we have people all the time in the shul. The shiurim of Bobby Hill, with her clarity, with Chaim Rappaport, with his scholarship, Rabbi Borden's Chabura, the Daf Yomi with Michael Pollack and Jeffrey Segal, and the new star at Ner, Rabbi Eliezer Zobin. All of them come together. All of them come together to create out of a Beis HaKnesses, to make it into a Beis HaMedrash. And this is something that all our children and our grandchildren absorb every time they walk into the shul. They see the values, the life, the attitudes which are reflected in the way the Balabatim relate to each other. We are Baruch Hashem, a shul without machlekas, a shul without tensions, a shul of harmony, a shul where there's orchestration in such a way that we can work together smoothly. It's really an awesome challenge. And the people who I work with, the chairman, the gaboim, the organizers, we have now new trustees, Daniel Green, and Karen Rosenberg, and Michelle Sint are taking on the roles as trustees for the shul. We've got Jonathan Marriott and all the new board of management who are spending hours and hours and hours of work every week to make sure that the shul is running properly. It always struck me as amazing how many people walk into a shul and think, oh, this is a shul, very nice, I'll stand and daven, say good Shabbos and walk out again, and don't realize that somebody has organized the Baal Koreh and the Baal Tefillah, and that the heating works and the air conditioning works and the bills are paid and that the place is clean and the furniture works. Every single detail in the shul, the security, the maintenance, the caretakers, everything has been organized by people. Now I'd like to say a couple of words about people who invest their energy in building a kehillah. In the book of Sefer Bamidbar, we're described the way in which Klal Yisrael traveled in the desert, Vayisu, Vayachnu, Vayisu, Vayachnu, and the Mishkan itself had to be dismantled and then carried and then rebuilt at every stage along the way. Who did all this? The Leviim, Gershon, Kahos, and Merari, the three groups of Leviim, were given the task of looking after the Mishkan during the traveling. When the Pasuk discusses how this works, there's a very interesting detail, which I think is very, very crucial and really a life lesson for every single person here in this hall. The Pasuk tells us that Gershon and Merari were given agolos, they were given wagons in which they could load up the kroshim and the urios, everything, and the wagons would carry it through the midbar. But the Pasuk says, V'livnei kahos loy nosar. The kahos, the family of kahos, those Leviim, they didn't get any wagons. Ki avodas hakodesh aleihem. They were carrying the Aron HaKodesh, the menorah, the shulchan, the mizbeach. They were carrying the items of the greatest kedusha. So what did they do? How did they manage it? Says the pasuk, Ba'kosef Yisa'u. They carried it on the katef, on their shoulders. They carried it personally. They didn't put it on the agala, on the wagon. It had to be carried Ba'kosef Yisa'u. What is the lesson the Torah here is telling us? It says, in life there are things that you can put on the wagon, but there are things that you need to personally attend to and not delegate. And by personally attending to them, you are in fact expressing the value and your commitment to these values in a different way completely. Let me give you an example. A guest arrives at Heathrow to visit you, so you send a taxi for him to come. But if your mother arrives at Heathrow, you don't send a taxi. You jolly well cancel your appointments and pick her up yourself. That's Ba'kosef Yisa'u. You pack all your clothes and personal belongings for the trip, you put them in your suitcase, but your tefillin, you put in your hand luggage, even if there's room in the suitcase, because Ba'kosef Yisa'u, you carry it yourself on your shoulder, not because you can't put it on a wagon, it's because you carry it yourself to show the personal value and your commitment to doing this with your own guf, with your own effort. And that effort translates itself into the kavod and into the value of the Torah. If you have a kid and you want to teach them music or teach them maths, you hire a tutor. If you want to teach them Chumash Rashi, you teach them yourself. V'shinantam levonecha. You don't hire a tutor. Ba'kosef Yisa'u. You take personal responsibility for it. Because when you teach them yourself, they don't only get the information and the skills, they see in your eyes the value of it, the love for it. And 20, 50 years later, they'll say, oh, I remember that pasuk, I learned it with my dad, I learned it with my mum. I remember the Chumash I learned with my mother and the Mishnayos I learned with my father, Zechar Levracha. I still remember this day. But Kosef Yisrael means personally willing to be involved and not just delegate. Not writing a check or ringing up a taxi or putting it in your suitcase. No. But Kosef Yisrael means something needs to be done. I'm going to do it. Personally committed, personally involved. Personally put the effort into it. That, Rabbi Sai, is what builds the Kehillah. The people who you've seen on the screen who built the Kehillah understood this principle. They weren't telling other people to go ahead and have bright ideas of what should be done. When I needed something done, or when anybody needed something done, and we discuss it with them, they'd say, leave it to me. I'll deal with it. That's different to someone who says, oh, I've got an idea how you should deal with it. I'll deal with it. That's Bakosei Yisrael. And here lies a very interesting paradox, because this is really only half the story. And actually there's a mysterious Gemara in Erech in Daf Yud Aleph, where the Gemara says, Bakosev Yisa'u, says the Gemara there, Ein Yisa'u el Loshan Shira. Yisa'u means Shira, music. Shanema Su'u Zimra Usunu Seif. That the word Su'u means to, not just to raise, but to be raised up. Nosai is Rosh B'nai Yisrael, to be elevated and to reach a level of saying Shira. And you think, well, here am I, Bakosev Yisa'u, I'm schlepping it with all my muscles. Why would I be saying Shira? I would be saying, look, Mesiras Nefesh, from Tzara Agra, there are all lots of things I would be saying, but why would I be singing a Shira? And the answer lies in one final Maimah Chazal. It's the Gemara in Seita Lamed Hey, which says, the Levim who were carrying the Oron and the Menorah, Ha'oroin noisei es noisov. The Oron actually carried those people who were carrying it. And here comes the paradox. The paradox is, if you put the effort into building a kehillah, building a school, teaching Torah, getting involved in ruchnius, you think initially, gosh, here aren't I a great person doing all this Mesiras Nefesh, putting myself out for it. In reality, noisei es noisov. It's carrying those people who carry. You think you're carrying it, really it's carrying you. You will get out of it far more than you will ever put into it. The nosei es nosov principle is something which lots of people have experienced in their own lives, because by carrying something of Kedusha, you become a different person. You become elevated, and that's where the shira comes in. The shira doesn't come from the sweat and the effort and the time spent. The shira comes when you suddenly realize, gosh, I thought I was giving, but really it was giving me. And the Bnei Yisachar makes a very beautiful diuk in these psukim. 5 times in these psukim, dafka with Bnei Kahas, the word appears v'nosnu. V'nosnu al kisui or tachash, v'nosnu olaves ha'ka'orois, v'nosnu al beged techeles, v'nosnu. That these items were given to them. What is v'nosnu, says the Bnei Yisachar? V'nosnu is a word in Lashon HaKodesh which is a palindrome. It can be read the same way, backwards and forwards. Yashar v'hafach. V'nosnu means you think you're giving, but really it's coming straight back to you. V'nosnu is a graphic image in a word of the text to tell you that when you're giving, you feel initially that you're giving, but actually it's noisei es nosov. What's coming back to you is 100 times greater than what you're giving to it. And therefore, this is something that I feel myself every day of my life. You put effort into learning and teaching Torah, into building and organizing a community, getting involved in chesed, getting involved in Talmud Torah, and you think, gosh, here am I doing a great effort. In reality, you think you're carrying it. Really, it's carrying you. And that's what I'd like to give you this evening. All those people who've been involved in carrying Ner Yisrael, and all those people who will be involved in the next decade of carrying Ner Yisrael, you should know the effort you put in comes back to you in the highest quality possible. When we put effort into carrying the ruchnius, we put effort into the learning and the teaching of Torah, something happens to us. And that is the secret. That is the secret of Ner Yisrael at many levels. I'd like to end up by giving a bracha to Jerry and Pam. who are the stars of this evening. Jerry and Pam, we're going to miss you. Lots of things that happened here happened because of you. Even though, of course, you know that obviously you worked as part of a team. And in the early days of Ner, I can't really think of Jerry without thinking of Lawrence Begener and Ronnie Gurney and David Wolf and Michael Samad and Michael Pollock and the whole team of people who really worked together so beautifully and harmoniously. But Jerry, in some way, you were the leader of this group. And my bracha to you is, in the words of David HaMelech, you should go to Yerushalayim. We know we don't want you to go, but we know we can't compete with the magic of Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is Oiroi Shel Olam, and I'm sure many of you have had the experience like me that when you're in Yerushalayim and you're getting on the plane coming back, you have to remind yourself, why exactly am I coming back? Yerushalayim is the place to be. Yerushalayim has a light and an energy and a kedusha and a beauty to it. So we understand why you're going, even though Brent Street is beautiful. But Yerushalayim has this special magic, and our bracha to you is Ura'ei B'tuv Yerushalayim Koil Yemei Chayecha. Your whole life you should only see the tuv, the good and the beauty in Yerushalayim. Ura'ei Vonim Levonecha, and you should do it together with your wonderful family, your children and grandchildren, and Shalom Al Yisrael. You should be zeicha with us together to see a time when Klal Yisrael live a life of Shalom. And we will, all of us, see Kol Tzofayich Nasu Kol Yachtov Yiranenu. When we hear the voice, when we hear the message, Ki Ayin Ba'ayin Yiru B'Shuv Hashem Tzion, as Yeshaya tells us, there will be a moment where we will see with absolute clarity B'Shuv Hashem Tzion. And when that happens, everything we've done in Ner Yisrael will be only magnified 100 times over. All the midas and the mitzvahs and the Torah that we've learned and the families that we've built will all be able to be transported to Yerushalayim and to be part of building that world, the world of the Binyan and the Geula Shalema, B'mheir of Yamein. Amen.
Dear Rav Kimchi, you're instrumental in having created ex nihilo a new type of Frum Kehillah suited to the needs of the current age. In so doing, you and your Rebbetzin have woven yourselves into the fabrics of the fabric of the lives of so many of the families here this evening. You participate and guide us in all our life cycle events. You are at our brissos, often acting as sandek or naming the children. You address these same children at their bat and bas mitzvahs, and often you go on to be Mesader Kedushim at the Chasnas. You were and are there in the good times and less good times, sometimes counseling, sometimes giving advice, sometimes just listening, and sometimes being a shoulder to cry on. But most important, you teach us Torah, demonstrating its beauty, depth, relevance, and application to the times in which we live, and thus encourage and enable us to be proud Shomrei Mitzvah Jews in the bigger outside world in which we all work and live. I'm just a shaliach for the Kehillah in expressing this Hakoras Hatov, and I've been given the honor this evening of presenting this becher to you as a mark of our regard for you. The inscription reads, to Rabbi Kimchi Shlita in admiration and appreciation on Ner's 30th anniversary. I will now please hang on for one moment whilst Evelyn comes and says one or two very brief words.
My dearest Rebbetzin Kimchi, fear. The leadership of Rav Kimchi and yourself of the Ner Yisrael community has lasted 30 years since the birth of an infant Kehillah through his childhood, adolescence, until it reached maturity and became an admired model for others. In the earliest days, the founders of Ner made it clear that women were regarded as much more than wives and mothers in being contributors to the development and direction of the fledgling community. They were not afraid of strong, capable women, of whom you are an exemplar. You have worked tirelessly to support and encourage our community. The relationship of the Rav and Rebbetzin of a Kehillah can be likened to a marriage, which after 30 years, the parties celebrate as a pearl wedding anniversary. Rav Kimchi has been presented with a becher. No, it's not the the elusive wedding becher, but for you, as our Rebbetzin of 30 years, the Kehillah thought that a personal memento of a pearl necklace would be a fitting tribute to mark this milestone. It is with enormous pleasure that I hand you our gift. We hope that when you wear it, you will remember the love and affection, as well as with the appreciation with which it is given.
The good news is that I'm the last speaker this evening. The bad news is I'm up here to make a presentation, but before I do that, I'm just going to say a few more words. First of all, to thank Phil Pfeffer and the team that put this amazing, amazing dinner together. Thank you, Phil. Thank you also to Simon Mora, who just went way above and beyond in producing the most incredible presentation this evening. It was just absolutely stunning. It spoke about everyone in the shul. That's what we're here to talk about tonight, is about the people of the community. Yes, it's the community as well, but it's the people as well that are so important. Louise and Lila, thank you for everything that you do constantly for the shul. It really is 24/6, 24/7, and we just can't manage without you. Thank you very much indeed. And of course, thank you all for coming here this evening. It's just an incredible turnout. Just had no idea that it would be so successful, and really thank you very much indeed for being here. Jerry, would you come up, please? You know, I have to say, it's a real privilege standing here. Like Moshe, I was a 14-year-old kid when Ner started with you and your mates. I've got a bit grayer, you've got a lot whiter. But you were and you are Moshe's really cool dad. And I was just a Hasmo second former, together with Moshe, Benji Steinbock, Jeremy Finn, Johnny Hollander. And now I'm standing here, and I wrote this shoulder to shoulder with you, as the Rav talked about, in front of all these people. Back then, I had no idea what it took to run a shul. Some say I still don't. But your record is exceptional. I'm sure many of you have heard of Malcolm Gladstone, who talks about 10,000 hours of repeating an activity to become an expert. Jerry, you've not been at it for 10,000 hours. You've not even been at it for 10,000 days. It was 11,130 days ago of that Shabbos Vayero in 1984 that Ner began under your guidance. As Rabbi Kimchi mentioned in Shul yesterday and again this evening, when presenting you with the honorary title of Chover, no vision has been too big, no detail too small, consistently throughout the years. Your persistence has earned you the reputation that if anyone can, Jerry can. So tonight, I'm honored to present to you a personalized, military-grade, motorsport-approved, stainless steel Jerry can. And the inscription reads, presented to Jerry Shutzkers with enormous gratitude and admiration for 30 incredible years of leadership at Ner Yisrael London, 26th of April 2015, 8th of Iyar 5775. If anyone can, Jerry can.